Okay, hello,
Hi.
Miquel.
Hi.
Nice to have you here.
Great.
Always a pleasure.
It was great to be here.
May you just introduce yourself a
Sure.
bit and tell us what Fairphone is about?
Yeah. So, let me start with Fairphone, maybe, and then I tell you what I do at Fairphone. Fairphone is a mobile phone company actually in Amsterdam. We are 70 people with a very special mission, I would say. What we want actually is to change a little bit how our current economy works, to move to a more fair and just economy, both in social and environmental terms. But if I tell you this, it's a little bit big and it's difficult to grasp, right? How do you do that? So we do that by making a very complex product, and complex as it has a very complex supply chain behind, which is a smartphone. A smartphone is a product that brings together a lot of trade-offs between social and environmental sustainability. So you can think of questions like where the materials come from, under what conditions a mobile phone is made, how it is designed to last long or short, depending on the brand, and what happens with these mobile phones at the end of life. The problem with e-waste. Fairphone started as an awareness campaign about all these issues, related to the electronics industry. But at some point in 2012, 2013 actually, we decided to become an independent company that was going to be part of the system. We wanted to be able to answer these questions and to get our hands dirty with all these issues, let's say. Now we exist as an independent social enterprise for since 2013, so for nearly, what is that? 4 years. Yeah. And we've designed 2 smartphones, which are both quite easy to repair. The second one a little bit easier to repair. So one of the big focuses of Fairphone 2, which is our current device, is to have a product that can last as long as possible, because this is what we think is the best in order to make a better use of the resources that are put in a product.
So what is your role?
My role has changed because I'm one of the co-founders and not part of the executive board. So I'm moving between teams and doing different things. But my background is in industrial design and design for sustainability. So I like to look at how can we build products that can either be more sustainable or be a trigger for more sustainability. And within Fairphone, at the moment, I am product and resource efficiency manager, which sounds really amazing, no? But basically, I'm doing 2 things. So I'm looking at how can we build the right ecosystem around our products to keep them in the market and in the hands of our customers as long as possible. So to make that efficient use of resources. And I also take care of the end-of-life projects that we do, which is, for instance, we get back a lot of e-waste from Ghana, which is one of the projects that we do. We collect a lot of old smartphones and mobile phones in Ghana. And we ship them to Belgium to be recycled properly, because there's no recycling infrastructure in Ghana. So for me, the focus there is, if we put so many products in the market, we need to at least make sure that we take out, all these other smartphones that are laying around in places like Ghana, where they have a big problem with e-waste, and we recycle them properly. So those are my kind of focuses now. But I've done sales, I've done company structure.
Okay, so let's take a step back and let's just answer the question, how did you start the journey with your team? Because now you're like a high-tech company, but how did it start? So you said it was like an awareness campaign.
Yeah, I can explain. So Fairphone started as a project in a bigger foundation in Amsterdam, which is called Bach Society. And it's a foundation that looks at the social relevance of technology. So they try to answer all the social questions behind technology. So within that framework, Bach Society has projects in, let's say, healthcare and education, for instance. Those are 2 big topics that they have, but they also have projects on privacy, anything that creates social questions around technology. In that framework, Fairphone was born as an awareness campaign, to answer these questions I was telling you about. Very specifically, at the very beginning of Fairphone, the big question was about the conflict minerals. This is how they are called. So these are 4 metals that are mostly mined in Congo and the surrounding countries in that area, in the Great Lakes area. And in 2010, that was a very hot topic because the whole situation in Congo came very much on the media. And Congo is it's a difficult country. I wouldn't want to simplify it now in one sentence because it's a very complex situation, but just one detail that speaks a lot for Congo. Congo should be the richest country in the world because it's a country with the most natural resources, but they are, I think, the poorest or the second poorest of the world. So that shows a lot how our economic system works and how, if I may say, fucked up it is.
Okay.
So Fairphone started with very much the topic of, these 4 minerals, we know they come in our technology, in our computers, in our phones, in our cameras. But because of these super complex supply chains, nobody knows exactly how they end up in our products. And even,
But what I was wondering about is where did you get your self-confidence from to tackle such a huge challenge? You want to change the economic system, but where did you get your self-confidence from?
So I think it's because also we started small. Okay. So we started really as an awareness campaign. So within these topics, we were running workshops, doing presentations, explaining to consumers, to people, what was behind technology and what does it mean when we say, coltan. What is coltan? It's a mineral that comes from Congo and it ends up in the capacitors of your phone. And this is the path that it follows, more or less, making that story, unraveling that story. So that was actually a small start, right? Like, doing a workshop and inviting 20 people and telling them the stories about the supply chain in the world is an easy way to start. But that started becoming a movement, so becoming like a bigger community that were following, like the publications that we did and the workshops that we did. And that was also creating the momentum that we in 2012 could decide, okay, there is an enough momentum maybe to do something even bigger from Fairphone, which is really entering the mobile phone industry and telling this story really from within, right? So that's how you start from small to
what
to
I
bigger.
think exactly this point is really interesting to change this movement into, I don't know, a company which deals or messes with high-tech companies like Apple and Samsung. So it's really inspiring
for us. I don't see it like messing with them. Okay. Actually, I think we collaborate with them. Right? Okay. We are part of the same industry, and I think we have to. I don't see them as competitors. For instance, they're doing their stuff, and we're doing some stuff that is a little bit different.
But you want to kind of change the way.
So we want to influence them. We not only influence them as a company, but we also want to influence consumers. We want to influence policymakers, because it's all together, right? We all together have created this economic system where we live in, where we think that throwing things away is just fine and buying a new one. So it's all together that we need to change it. So I know, as a matter of fact, that there are also very driven individuals in these organizations that have very good thoughts about where the world should go and what sustainability means, etc. But sometimes they are also trapped in this huge organization that is difficult to change. So I think projects like Fairphone, and there's other companies similar in other industries maybe, that keep being kind of these trigger projects, like these demonstrators. We do small things. We show that they work, that you can do a modular device, that you can run in warranty repairs just by sending modules to your customers, that people can start repairing their devices. This shows to all these stakeholders in this weird economic system we have that certain things are possible. So I think we shouldn't get away from this position that we have of being small, flexible, innovative.
Truly inspiring.
So
another question I wanted to ask you is what challenges did you face during the process, getting to the point you are now? What were like the biggest challenges, and which advices could you give young people trying to start a company in the social?
I think and again, I'm not part of the executive board, of course, so other founders took much more the burden of all these challenges. But I think the challenges that we've been through are not very different than other companies' challenges, like the typical startup challenges, like, having enough working capital, keeping company culture as you grow, trying to, keep everybody aligned, the typical same problems that other companies have. Maybe with the extra challenge and difficulty that for us, we have a social mission, so that's what's first. And you need to level that with being a business as well, and that's hard sometimes, and it requires certain decisions that are hard to make. But in a way, we are not. I think the model that we follow, as in what I was telling you, as in trying to be this trigger project, is different, because we need to work with a lot of externals. For instance, we need to work with a lot of other organizations that maybe have the knowledge that we don't have to get to a certain outcome. So we are a very kind of collaborative environment that calls for the knowledge of external parties as well. So that might be different than other companies, and that poses certain challenges as well. But in the end, when it comes down to selling enough products and having money to run the company, is quite similar. I would say it's quite similar than other companies.
What you mentioned yesterday in your talk was something like resilient systems. And it's also a special challenge for you, because like the system, system around you is maybe different than you are, and you try to build your own system to survive. Exactly. So if you could explain a bit about that.
Yeah. So just as an introduction to it, like when we decided to become a company, right, a social enterprise, actually we implicitly were deciding that we are going to get into a system that has a certain rules, like that, we live in a market economy, we get money from our customers, etc. There's certain things that are there, and they work in a certain way. So when you get into the system, indeed, you need to follow or play with the rules, which doesn't mean that you cannot challenge it, right? And that's what we are trying to do. So, and for challenging the system, we need to build, what I said, resilient solutions. And I can give a very specific example of this. Like we with Fairphone 2, we built a product with the aim to last 3 to 5 years. That's what we say, more or less, no? Even though that depends on many different factors. In an industry that is made for products that last 2 years, let's say, more or less. And it's not necessary that the product itself is broken after 2 years, but the ecosystem around it makes it very easy for me as a consumer to get a new product after 2 years. That might be the business model of my operator. That might be, like, I don't know, that there is a new, more flashy and thinner device out there. So there's many things that trigger this change every 2 years. Okay, so our proposition is a device, let's say, that is for 5 years. But that's still built into this ecosystem made for this 2 years lifetime, no? So, when you go speak with an operator, they go, okay, now we have to talk about longevity. Like you have to change the way they think. Or for instance, from a technical perspective, we have built the modular device, no? So the whole IP on how the architecture is built is ours, and we've done it, but it also relies on components from a lot of different companies in the world that are designed already for mobile phones, in general. So I'm talking about, I don't know, a speaker, a chipset, a battery, all these things. Yeah. And these components have their own life cycle. So all these suppliers may say tomorrow, hey, how many did you want? Because we are going to stop producing this component. So with Fairphone 2, we were able to create a system where, to a certain extent, it all has limitations, but to a certain extent, if we need to change a component, and that means that we need to redesign a part of the phone, most of the times means redesigning one of the modules. So, we've built in a little bit that resilience of we only need to do the redesigning work on one of the modules, and then that fits the rest of the system. That has limitations, of course. It's not for every component out there, but it's a little bit of a tryout also for us, and it has proven to be successful for many cases of these longevity issues. So that's an example of how we had to build this resiliency into a
really
system.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. So right next to us, we have like 8 teams trying to build their own startup, social startup within 54 hours.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty challenging.
Yeah, it is. But that's why you're also here. And what would you tell those folks about how to challenge such big problems like you did? What are possible advices? Maybe 2-3 sentences.
Actually, I think there's 2 ways of looking at it. There's I think there's social enterprises like we that try to have like a very kind of general approach and try to tackle different issues. You can also design a venture that tackles a very specific social issue, right? And I've seen a little bit both in the room. So some people try to tackle a very specific issue, which helps in creating focus and staying true to what you have to do, right? For us, that has been also challenging. We've been focusing on different things and going up and down. So that will be the first advice. Whatever you do, try to keep the focus of what you're doing, which is not always easy, and try to keep that focus as you grow. Because now maybe there are 3 people, but maybe, I don't know, maybe out of this weekend, they immediately have a great idea and they get funding from somebody. And it could be that they are, starting an organization in a month, let's say, something like that.
We hope it's going to happen.
Where they have to hire people, for instance. And that's also what I said in my presentation, that I think you have to be very critical with yourself and recognize what can you do and what you can't do. And for the things you cannot do, you hire amazing people that can do it better than you. The fact that you are, you were there when somebody thought about this idea doesn't mean that you can do everything. So, stay focused, stay critical with what you can do and you cannot do. Do what you love, because you will do it better than if you try to do things that you don't love. And get the right people. Like a good team is very important, and to keep the culture of this team is not always easy as you grow, and that requires time and effort as well. Whatever you are doing, right? Like I'm talking besides the social issue that they're trying to tackle. The company culture and organization is very important, and they have to pay attention from the beginning.
Miquel Ballester from Fairphone. Thanks for having you here. Thank you.
Hope see you next year.
Next year. Thank you. Thanks.